Good morning. Today, following a phone call with Attorney General Holder, we are confident that we will be able to move forward in the state of Washington with our voter-approved marijuana initiative. We are confident, following our discussion today that I had with Governor Hickenlooper of Colorado, that we have found a path forward where the voters' will be able to be effectuated in the state of Washington, and that both the federal and state governments will continue to work in a way that maintains public health and reduces violent crime. And I'm very pleased by this outcome. The result follows long work and diligent work by our state control board and the federal government's very careful consideration of the ramifications of this initiative. The Attorney General basically gave me two fundamental messages today. Number one, that the federal government would not act to preempt the implementation of the voter-approved initiative in the state of Washington regarding marijuana. And that was a clear affirmation that the federal government would not be pursuing litigation to stop the state of Washington from moving forward with this voter-approved initiative. And second, and this was equally important, the Attorney General said that the federal government would continue to enforce the Federal Controlled Substances Act, but, and this is very important, he delineated the 8 specific items of interest and priorities of the federal law enforcement effort that they would focus their law enforcement activities on. And that is a very important statement, because in the discussion of these 8 interests, these are interests of things such as preventing the distribution of marijuana to minors and preventing the use of the sale of marijuana to mask other illicit criminal activity. These are exactly the 8 interests that we have shown in the state of Washington that have guided our formulation of this very tightly and well-regulated distribution system. So I'm pleased to report that what Attorney General Holder set forth to us about the 8 interests of the federal government are the same as the state government of the state of Washington, and that our system already that we have developed will address those 8 issues, so that the federal government, what they would seek to enforce, we already will be enforcing. So we're pleased to say that the federal government's track is the same as ours in that regard. I want to thank the leadership of Attorney General Holder and President Obama in this regard. They have gone through a very diligent process to look at the ramifications of our voter-approved initiative. And I think that this is a very carefully calibrated and very common sense approach by the federal government to really respect something that has been successful for many years in our country, which is to allow states to be the laboratories of democracy. And this very carefully considered approach by the federal government will allow our state to move forward and show the country a way a well-regulated system can be effectuated in a state, while still respecting the Federal Controlled Substances Act. And Attorney General Holder and the President have shown leadership which has allowed 2 states to show a path forward for the United States. And I appreciate their efforts. I think that they have shown a very carefully considered way to respect the multiple interests here. And the reason is that they have focused on these 8 items that legitimately are items of concern and should be in our state and the rest of the country. And they found a way to do this while respecting scarce, limited enforcement resources of the federal government as well. So this is good news. I also want to thank the Liquor Control Board, Rick Garza and his leadership, in giving a reason for the federal government to trust us. And I think that what we've seen is a validation of a reason to believe that we are on the right track of being responsible, being disciplined, being real in figuring out a way to follow the voters' intent in this regard. So we want to thank them for that. And we want to thank Bob Ferguson, who's been working with us very closely as we've developed these programs. Bob.